Hello and welcome to Copic in the Craft Room. Michelle Houghton here, and this week I have this stamp set from Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to use the main stamp, which is these four cute animals. We have a bear, a bunny, a hedgehog, and a bird. And I am going to eventually here put it on a card for my mom for Mother's Day. Nothing like an untraditional Mother's Day card. Now, there's some adorable sentiments that go with the stamp. I am not using those today on this particular image or with this particular image, but they are included in the set as well. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm doing pretty simple coloring. I'm not trying to do anything fancy on these guys. They're not realistic. They're very cartoon-like. So I'm really just picking some fun colors and kind of going from there to get some images, to get the images colored up. So I'm going to start with the bear, and I'm kind of gathering my supplies off to the side there. You can kind of see me shifting markers, and I've done a lot of color testing before I started. So I'm kind of ready just to jump in and get going here. So I'm going to start with the bear, the biggest guy, and I'm going to do him kind of a honey colored bear. Winnie the Pooh-esque, but not true to those yellow tones. So I'm going to start with a YR31, and I'm getting a nice base coat of that color. So I'm doing pretty dense coloring. I'm using those small circles and some flicks just to get a nice smooth coverage on the bear. I'm putting that kind of primer coat or that base coat down first and getting that all over the bear. I have sped this up, obviously, and I'm working at, I think at this point, about 4 times my normal pace. So if you slow this way down, this takes quite a bit longer. The whole image itself took about 35 minutes to color. So I've moved to YR21. This has a very subtle change. You're going to see it gets slightly darker, a little bit richer, but it's just enough, and it really helps me lay down where I want those kind of darker areas to be, underneath his arms, along his side, kind of up one side of each leg, up underneath his nose, and along the side of his snout. This is actually YR24, and this one's considerably darker, but when they start blending together, these all look really, really nice together. I've kept that when I look at him, the left side of his face quite a bit darker. I'm hitting those same places, and this is the beauty of kind of doing that shading first with that lighter color, and that I can map that out really easily and make changes. But when I come in with my darker color now, I'm fairly confident about where I want all of those to go. YR21 is going to help smooth those out, so I'm going right along the edge, kind of pulling that YR24 a little further. If I need to, I can do some small circles along that edge as well. Smoothing out around his face, and then I'll go all the way down to my YR31, which is that lighter color, my lightest one that I used on this guy, and soften up a little bit. That last one didn't need a whole lot, so that part's pretty quick. The next one I'm going to work on, I have a little cleanup to do with my colorless blender around the bunny. His ears are so tiny. So I'm going to use an E47 to start, and I'm adding some of those details on the bear, and then an E44 to lighten up. So that time I went from dark to the lighter. E93 is coming in and touching on the inner portion of the ears of the bunny and the bear. E30 is going to base the body, kind of the tummy and face of the hedgehog. And then E43 is what I picked up next. Now, this is not what I originally selected, but this is a good lesson to learn too. This is where Copics actually, you can blend these all together. So this is back to the E30, and it is softening. It's not going to be a perfect blend, but it does soften. I add some cheek color with E93 because I just, for some reason, think the hedgehog needs rosy cheeks. And then a little bit of that E30 next. E31 is what I'm basing the quills in. This is where my mix-up happened. And then E44. So I got my E43 and E31 swapped, but it works. It ended up working. E44 is next. I honestly didn't even realize it until I started editing the video and realized I picked up the wrong colors. E47. So now with the E44 and E47, the medium and dark tone, I'm doing these little tiny flicks. So I'm way up on the tip of my brush nib and I'm doing these little short, like they're no longer than 1/8 of an inch, and I'm flicking from the face outward to kind of give that little bit of texture of the quills. I just touched that E93 onto the bunny's nose and onto the inside ear of the hedgehog. E21 for the basket, E23 on the inner portion, and then I'm just doing a single flick from those vertical lines to one side to give that dimension of the woven wood. The little bird is going to get colored next. B32 for the base of the body. B34, adding a little bit of depth into this little guy. I'm adding stuff in some of these animals like I did under the cheeks of the hedgehog and under the neck of the bird, just to add a little more dimension and shape mostly. B37 was that darkest color, and then I'm going back with B34 and B32. Pretty little bluebird. A little YR31 went in on the beak. Then I'm going to start with an N0, so neutral gray and a 0 on my little bunny. It's going to be a white bunny. So I'm just bringing the gray ends from the edges so he looks a little more dimensional. And 1 is going to add same exact areas, smaller amounts. Again, the grays blend so beautifully together. You can already see that most of this blending is happening without me doing anything. I honestly can almost get away with not going back and doing any blending. N3 is next, really just hitting these areas that I know are going to be the darkest. So I really want to push back areas and show that shape. Little bit of blending with N1. N0, you can tell this part is super fast. And then I'm going to finish with my colorless blender to fade some of that right into white. And then I'm going to really speed up. I'm just fast forward even faster, and I'm doing that background. So I started with colorless blender. I colored a band about 1/4 inch outside the image, like that. And then I flick with the brush nib way over on the side of the brush nib. So it's a broad flick with my B000 into, from the animal, flick it into that colorless blender that's on the paper. I can use the colorless blender again then to soften it even further. So colorless blender, B000, colorless blender. For the ground, I'm flicking out from the animals and underneath the animals with a G41. Again, I don't necessarily need this to look realistic because they don't look realistic. I'm coming in with a G45 to create kind of a shadow underneath, cast shadow. And I'm playing around with kind of what shape that's supposed to be. I'm not real definite. So I soften the edges with the G41, darken up that ground just a little bit. And then I'm going to mess around with some cheeks on the bunny. I decided that the bunny needs cheeks since the hedgehog has cheeks. So I go back and forth with an E93, my N0 and N1 in my colorless blender and kind of mess with that for a while. I should have done it when I was doing the bunny. It would be a whole lot easier, and I probably should have done like a tip to tip. I think I would have had better results, but he's all finished up. I really do appreciate you joining me each week for Copic in the Craft Room on YouTube. I hope you're enjoying the videos. In the next few months, we're going to have some more instructional videos about how to color hair, how to color skin. So I hope you stay tuned and keep watching for those. Make sure if you have not had a chance to like the channel so you get this in your inbox each week for our new videos, for my new videos. And if you haven't, check me out on Facebook or on my blog as well to see where I'm teaching live and see the latest Copic inspiration on Copic and the Craft Room in Facebook. My blog is scrapweaver.com. Stop by and you can see where I'm teaching live and teaching my Copic colleges and Copic classes. Thanks for joining me this week. Have a happy, colorful week.